Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today it is time to have a look at a changelog which came into effect on the 27th. Now the reason why I didn't talk about it on the 27th is because, well, I was doing dev server stuff, and on top of it as well I wanted to collect my thoughts and look at the changes, because there weren't just a bunch of changes when it came to the economy, they also changed how certain tech trees work. So let's get into it. The first one is the BR changes have been implemented. Obviously I have made my video talking about the BR changes. I see a lot of people bringing up the G91YS as an issue. As I've said, I've talked about it in the video, I'd rather have that thing nuked than have the whole BR bracket nuked. Very similar to the F104 idea and stuff like that. And if it performs incredibly poorly at 10.0, guess what? It goes back down to 9.7. Just like with the Lightning going down to 9.7, if it performs way too well, it goes up to 10.0, and at least it was tried. Then the next one is the research, purchase, crew training costs, and other related parameters for vehicles have been changed, with the main parameters in the new tab. All economy indicators for vehicles will be changed according to the rank. So yeah, you can have a look at some of the vehicles that maybe you're researching, or maybe you're looking forward to research, and see what their changes are. And to be honest, these normally don't have too much of an effect on the game, because it's just small changes, but sometimes the next option does have a decent amount of an effect on some people. Repair costs and award multipliers have been changed, so make sure to keep on top of that, because you might be losing SL in some of your favorite vehicles, which you weren't before. Ammunition costs have also been changed. Yes, they've lowered a lot of ammunition costs. Not good enough when it comes to the HeatFS stuff. As I've said many times before, it looks like they're trying to do very minor corrections to this and hope that people completely forget about the HeatFS change. Not going to happen. It was a terrible change. It's made grinding the vehicles at a high tier even harder. There is no reason for it. It was completely money motivated, because every other excuse that is trotted out has massive loopholes in it. I'm not interested in the arguments against, because they, as I said, they just have massive holes in them, and it is very obvious when it comes to the HeatFS change that it was a negative effect on the general community. Then the cost of torpedoes used by ships has been reduced by 50%. The cost of weaponry presets have also been recalculated and may not have been exactly halved due to rounding, which is fair. So they've made naval a lot cheaper. It's actually quite a nice place to make SL naval, if you didn't know. As long as you play stuff like rank 2s and rank 3s, you can kind of rake in the SL. But you know how ground forces got a reduction in parts and FPE a while back, and this was seen as a great victory? Well, the same was not carried over to naval. Hopefully at some point we see at least parts and FPE reduced for high-tier vehicles for the naval side of things, and if not, well, it's kind of sad, isn't it? A bug causing overpriced torpedoes for the Type T1 has been fixed. That's such a weird bug, but it's good that they've changed it. So here are the aviation tech tree changes. So first of all, we're going to talk about the German one. So what they've done is they've moved the ME163, the ME163B-0. They've now been placed after the ME262C group. This has changed the research cost of certain machines. I believe overall it has increased the amount of research that you need, but at least the line makes a little bit more sense. But since it increases the overall research required, I think this is a bad change. As general, the only thing when looking at tech trees or research trees that I'm interested in is the amount of research that it takes to get to high tiers. That is literally it. I don't care how pretty it looks. I don't care what it looks like. The only functionality of a research tree is to be able to research. Then we get on to the USA one, which is probably a bigger issue, in my opinion. So, what they've done is they've now created 5 lines in the American aviation tech tree. They've moved the P26A, or well, let's just say the P26s, the P400, the P39s, some of the P38s, the P63s, and also the F80 and the F80C. Now, because they've moved these over to the left, it means that researching the F104A is going to be harder to do. And also, what they've done is, as you can see, they've removed a bunch of stuff from groups. So all the P26s are all single now, the P400 is by itself, the P63A5 is by itself, the two late to P38s are now by themselves, the F80s are now single vehicles, the P40s as well, the F82 as well, the PBJs, and the P61. So, isn't it really wonderful that I've seen tons of people who have actually agreed with this change? I've seen a ton of people say it makes more sense, they're doing it by manufacturer, it looks really nice. I think all of you have the wool pulled over your eyes when it comes to this change. Because all this change has done is it has made the tech tree overall way harder to grind. Now, instead of having a bunch of stuff in groups and where you can bypass them to get to the higher ranks, now what you have to do is you have to research them all. They've also increased a bunch of research costs across the board for a bunch of these vehicles, so therefore even just by raw research, it is now harder to get to top rank for America. On top of this as well, they've got rid of a lot of the bonuses, because if you didn't know, if you use the vehicle before a vehicle to research that vehicle, you normally get a little percentage bonus. Well, that's gone because they've moved the vehicles, so therefore you're going to have to once again research them independently. So all they've done is, as I said, a lot of people I've talked to are congratulating them on this idea. I cannot believe it. After a year or 2 or 3 or 4 of having people come to me and tell me the game is too grindy, the game is too hard to get to higher tiers, I now have those same people coming to me saying the USA tree looks really nice and it's a step forward, without even doing without even just going past the overlayer, which is just the vehicles themselves and how they look, and not looking underneath. Because, as I said, if you complain about the grind, or if you think that the research in the game is way too hard, you should vehemently disagree with this change. Because all this change has done is it's added a bunch of research you now have to do to get to the high ranks of the American aviation tree. It's as simple as that. Instead of having to go down 4 lines, and as I said, with reduced RP, with the efficiency stuff, and also a bunch of stuff grouped so you could skip them if you wanted, now you're forced to research everything. They're also, either they already have, or they're going to change how many vehicles you need per rank to get to the next rank, so you'll be forced to go down all of these lines anyway. I cannot believe, as I said, people are advocating for this, and people are okay with this. And if you are a person who has already researched all of these vehicles and got to top tier, and you are happy with this change, I would like you, just for a second, to think about the people who are starting the game. Think about the people who maybe have ground halfway through the American tree and were looking forward to getting their jets, looking forward to have a bit of fun with them. Those people just got screwed by this. And you are sat there saying, this is an awesome change because it looks nice. I'm sorry, but a research tree, it doesn't matter how it looks. It has literally nothing to do with how it looks. It should be all about functionality. Does it reduce the research, or does it have the research at a level which is sustainable? Does it also make sense from a point of view of which vehicles are leading on to others, so you can get that efficiency going? Everything else shouldn't matter. The way it looks should not matter to you. It should be, from a player's perspective, the most optimal way, or the most efficient way of grinding through the tech tree. The most efficient way would be to actually have just one single line, and then have everything reduced and everything grouped together. That would be the best line, and what we have is the opposite here. And I've just got to say, it has saddened me over the last 2 days with the amount of people who are agreeing with this, instead of seeing the larger implications, which is this change is going to make it so people are going to be further away from the vehicles that they want to play, and also it's going to turn off new players. This is just like the Heat FS thing. With the Heat FS thing, what we had was thing which made the gameplay fundamentally worse while grinding through vehicles. This change makes it so it's going to take you longer to grind through the American tech tree. Surely this can only be a negative for players. As players, we should want to be able to grind as efficiently as possible. So I don't know why anybody is advocating for this change, or even a change like this. Even if they don't believe that this is the correct change, but they still want the 5 lines, it still has the same issue. Because you can see now what would happen. It would increase the research overall. It saddens me. It really does. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank Ambrosius McClellan, B. Young, Battling Bacon, Blackie, Chris Giltnane, Conte Baraka, Daniel Stanton, Elove Goat, Jay Wilt, Martinez, Trigger Hippie, Universe, Eugens Terry, and also I'm Devilish and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.